everyone, Dandelion Princess here, and welcome to the very first episode of Disney Magic, where each episode I pick a different Disney movie to talk about. So, for the first episode of the series, I picked my favorite Disney movie to talk about. And, well, giving it away that this is my favorite Disney movie may give away the rating I'm going to give this movie at the end, but I do think it's important that you guys know this is my favorite Disney movie, because growing up, this was something that, for some reason, I could just never really achieve. Whenever friends or someone asked what my favorite Disney movie was, I could never really give them an answer. I would usually just say whatever Disney movie I was in the mood to watch at that time, or if I had just recently watched a movie and it was on my mind, I would say that. But I could never actually ever say this is my favorite Disney movie. That is, of course, until a couple of years ago. Today, we're gonna talk about Zootopia. Now, some people may think that it's odd that such a newer Disney movie is actually my favorite, considering I grew up with all the Disney classics. And as I said before, it was always really hard for me to pick a movie as my favorite, and I never really could. And even Zootopia wasn't my favorite instantly. When I first watched it, I, of course, really enjoyed it, and definitely ranked it top tier Disney, but it was really only after watching it a few more times that it became my favorite. So, just a little recap for people who haven't seen the movie in a long time. Zootopia is about a bunny named Judy Hopps, who's wanted to be a police officer since she was a little girl. Despite her family urging her to become a carrot farmer like all of them, she ends up getting into the police academy and actually graduating, making it into the police force, only to be written off as a meter maid until she makes a deal with her boss to find some animals that have gone missing. And if she doesn't within the allotted time period, she has to give up her badge. She teams up with a shady fox named Nick Wilde, and together they follow the leads to figure out where the missing animals are. So yeah, this movie actually has a very simplistic backbone. It's essentially a buddy cop movie in a lot of ways, which I really tend to hate those kind of movies. So the fact that this movie, it shouldn't work for me, but it does. It's something else. First off, the animation in this movie is just stunning. It is just top notch. I don't even really have a word to describe it other than just pure eye candy. And this world that the characters live in is just so unique and vibrant. It is so creative and something that I just really couldn't imagine until I actually saw it on screen for the first time. But the thing that makes this movie amazing is definitely the characters. Judy is, of course, our main character, and her optimism and energetic attitude really make her perfect for our lead. The thing that really makes this movie beautiful is just the subtleties it has when it comes to the character development here. And it's kind of something I didn't even notice until watching it again. From day one, we see that Judy doesn't want to show any kind of prejudice against anyone. She very much wants to give people the benefit of the doubt, and has very strong beliefs that anyone can be anything. But Judy's parents, on the other hand, of course, think a little bit differently. Her parents are harmless characters, and they very much love Judy, and only want what's best for her. That being said, they definitely plant the seed of doubt that sort of plagues Judy throughout the movie and throughout her whole life. And this is so realistic and relatable to me. Every kid wants to be their own person, and that isn't always going to be what their parents are. And as kids grow up, they form their own thoughts and opinions on the world around them. This is why different generations are so different from each other. Yet it's very hard to deny the way you were raised. Despite Judy always wanting to see the best in everyone, her parents planted that fear. It's how she grew up. So yeah, she doubles back for the fox repellent. It's a subtle scene without any dialogue, and she was going to leave it because she knew she didn't need it. But even then, she couldn't deny the way she was raised. And it even gets in the way of her relationship that she builds with Nick through the movie. As without even thinking about it, she is so quick to point the blame to predators. And Nick even proves that Judy is still scared of him even after the things that they had been through. In a beautifully executed scene where Nick is actually willing to join the police force and become Judy's partner.
I mean, it's not like a bunny could go savage.
Right, but a fox could, huh?
Nick, stop it. You're not like them.
Oh, there's a them now.
You know what I mean. You're not that kind of predator.
The kind that needs to be muscled? The kind that makes you think you need to carry around fox repellent? Yeah, don't think I didn't notice that little item the first time we met. So, let me ask you a question. Are you afraid of me? Do you think I might go nuts? You think I might go savage? You think I might try to eat you? I knew it. Just when I thought somebody actually believed in me, huh? Probably best if you don't have a predator as a partner.
And by the end of the movie, Judy is finally able to see the world for what it really is.
I thought Zootopia was this perfect place where everyone got along and anyone could be anything. Turns out, real life's a little bit more complicated than a slogan on a bumper sticker. Real life is messy. We all have limitations.
Now, going over to the side of Nick, who is actually my favorite character in this movie, in a lot of ways, he's almost the opposite of Judy. He's cynical and sarcastic, but he is super smart. When we first meet him in the beginning of the movie, he's a con artist, a hustler. But it is very easy to see he has much more potential than that. Through the movie, he's very jaded and just sort of shrugs things off and just wants to get Judy out of his fur. But as the movie goes on, he legitimately starts to care about her and about the case. He legitimately wants to find out who the culprits are and where the missing animals are. After getting invested, he even stands up for Judy.
No.
What did you say, Fox?
Sorry. What I said was no. She will not be giving you that badge. Look, you gave her a clown vest and a three-wheeled joke-mobile in 2 days to solve a case you guys haven't cracked in 2 weeks? Yeah, it's no wonder she needed to get help from a fox. None of you guys were going to help her, were you?
And it's only later that we find out why Nick is the way he is. As a kid, he started out much like Judy, thinking he could be whatever he wanted. until he is mistreated to the point where he no longer thinks he'll be anything else in society's eyes. After opening up, he starts to see that maybe not everyone's like that, and it seems he found a real friend in Judy, until once again we get to the scene, as Judy suggests Predator's biology being to blame. Every bit of development that these two had together as friends is thrown out the window as Nick sees that Judy's no different from any other animal. And he actually admits that he knew she had fox repellent on her the whole time they were together. And yet, even knowing that, he still started to open up to her. I love these two characters and the dynamic they have throughout the movie. It's just always so satisfying to see. The movie also touches upon some things that have been going on in our society for a very, very long time, such as racism and segregation. The movie uses the term prey and predators, and they handle it in such a way that it's very tasteful, and being animals, you can't put an actual stereotype to them. It's just the way the movie was set up, and I can really appreciate that. And the message this movie carries is a very good one. Aside from all that, I was also able to get very invested into the mystery this movie had. I really didn't know what was going on, and towards the end, I was really siding with Judy, not knowing what was causing all this stuff to happen. But I know a lot of people didn't really like the twist of Bellwether being the villain, as they thought it was predictable with Disney doing the villain switch like very often during the time this movie came out. Like we had Frozen, Big Hero 6. It was just something that they really liked to do during that time for some reason. But this one really caught me off guard. I mean, it seems obvious watching it again, but the first time I was so busy with everything else going on in the movie that it didn't even really cross my mind. This movie was just so well done, in my opinion. And honestly, I really do hope that we get a sequel from this one. There's honestly so much that could happen if they do a sequel. Now that Nick is a cop and he is Judy's partner, they could easily have them do another mystery or some other interesting things to do with being a police officer. They could really expand on the relationship between these two. I know it's kind of like there's people who are like, oh, they're just good friends, and others want them as like a romantic couple. I would be very much for that. And it can very much play into the themes that the first movie had of diversity and everything. I personally don't think Disney would really go that way, but potentially it could. I just sort of have this image in my head of Nick and Judy are like on patrol, or just like they're on a call about like a domestic disturbance or like something along those lines, and they find like a lost baby. It could be a different animal from them, or like a bunny or a fox. Personally, I'd want it to be a fox because Judy already has tons of siblings, so it'd be interesting to see her out of her element, like taking care of a baby fox. That being said, there's still tons of ways that they could do a really interesting, good sequel with the two of them just being friends, or it staying like up to interpretation, kind of how the first one is. Either way, I do really want to see a sequel for this one, but even if it never does get a sequel, to me it will just always be one of the great one-off Disney movies. The mystery was super engaging, the characters were amazing, the voice acting phenomenal. I mean, I can't think of a better cast for this movie. The music also just really stood out to me. The humor, I mean, this movie is just so hilarious.
Okay, all clear.
The back and forth between Judy and Nick is just so perfect. I just really can't give enough praise for this movie. And that's why I'm giving this movie 10 Mickeys out of 10. Every time I watch this movie, it just gets better to me. And I notice so many more details, whether it's a little inside joke kind of thing, an Easter egg, or something that just overall adds depth to the movie. So there you have it. That's why Zootopia is my favorite Disney movie. Honestly, I could go on gushing about it for even longer. There's plot points and characters that I didn't even really get to touch on, but it's just a beautiful movie. And even if it's not your favorite, you have to admit, it did something new and exciting. Real quick before I go, something I thought that would be fun with these Disney Magic episodes would be to end each episode with a memorable moment from the movie. But I actually used my memorable moment in this video already, so I picked another one. After all, many of these movies have multiple memorable moments for me.
And after we're done, you can hate me. And that'll be fine, because I was a horrible friend, and I hurt you, and you can walk away knowing that you were right all along. I really am just a dumb bunny. I really am just a dumb bunny. I really am just a dumb bunny.
Don't worry, Carrots. I'll let you erase it in 48 hours.
So, what do you guys think? What would you rate Zootopia? And who's your favorite character? Is there anything you guys didn't like about the movie? Let me know down in the comments. Also, be sure to let me know down in the comments what movie you want me to talk about next here on Disney Magic. I would of course prefer it to be a Disney movie, but really as long as it's animated, I will be more than happy to talk about it. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.